I know that I've stayed at some great Airbnbs and some that are not so great. So your guests this week were Ben and Amy, and you had a conversation about kind of behind the scenes of owning and operating Airbnbs. How was that? What'd you learn?
It was cool. I talked to Ben and Amy. There's some local Nashville investors. They focus on a lot of different things, Airbnbs being one of them.
Okay.
But they have a really good, they have their finger on the pulse of the Nashville market in general. They have a couple rentals here in Nashville, and then a couple up in the Smokey Mountains in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
So it was cool to talk to them about what owning an Airbnb entails, and then kind of comparing the two markets. And then they really kind of pulled the curtain back and gave me a glimpse behind the scenes of what all goes into the day-to-day management of an Airbnb.
It's easy, right?
Super easy. No, I learned it's a lot harder a lot more goes into it than I thought. I don't want to say it's hard, it's just more time consuming. My interpretation going into the conversation was that it was passive, but as you'll find out as you watch, it's anything but passive. There's a lot of work that goes into hiring the right team and making sure that you have the right people running everything and making sure your guests have an amazing experience. So it was a lot of cool stuff that I took away, a lot of things to learn. So
okay, can't wait to hear it.
Awesome.
Welcome to Real 615, where we talk about all things Nashville real estate related. I'm here with Ben and Amy Wright. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Good. We're going to talk about short-term rentals in the Nashville market.
I'm excited.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. I guess to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what brought you to Nashville?
Well, we moved down here in 2003 to tour in a band, and we did that for 6 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Music City.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're married.
Yeah, we've been married for longer than that.
Important detail. Okay, good. Okay, well, let's just dive right into the short-term rental world. What brought you into that market? Were you investing in homes before that, or just wanted to own a hotel your whole life? What got you in there?
It just seemed like the natural progression for us because we started out as flipping houses. Well, we started out as just a homeowner, and then when we sold that first house, we realized how much money we could make at flipping, so we did flipping for a while, and we still do, and then got into new construction. And it just seemed like the natural progression for us it was short-term rentals. Amy loves hosting people.
Yeah.
She's great at it.
It didn't happen just like, let's try a short-term rental. So, I love when family comes to visit us. And when friends come to visit us, I want them to feel comfortable. So, it just makes me feel invigorated to make sure that the bed is just so, they've got everything they need. And then, just, of course, hearing feedback from friends and family like, oh, this is perfect, everything is just perfect, blah, 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 and you should do this more often. So it got the wheels turning a little bit, and then we started doing business models with our renovation where there was, a possible income-producing basement. So people could actually set themselves up to do short-term rentals in their home and have it pay for their mortgage. And so we thought, why not, since we're doing this for other people to set them up, why not give it a try in our own house? So our house is kind of set up like that. We renovated it that way with the same business model, and we kicked it off, and it's been very good to us. So,
awesome. So you started off kind of building income-producing units for other people, and then realized it's something you want to do yourself.
yes.
That's great.
Yeah, the space in our house is only 600 square feet,
Okay.
but it's like the little engine that could.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it does really well for us, surprisingly, because in our neighborhood there's nothing walkable except like a Walgreens, but Amy does
It's a quiet street.
Yeah, it's quiet. Amy does a great job with it, gets good reviews, and it's only 12 minutes, 13 minutes to downtown or whatever.
That's awesome. And how many Airbnbs do you have in your portfolio right now?
We have 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah, we have the one in the basement, then we have one in Gatlinburg and one in Seviereville.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
the one in Gatlinburg we have with another couple partnered on it.
Okay. And how do you choose your properties? Are these flips that you were working on that you decided, I want to turn this into a short-term rental, or do you kind of pursue this as a completely different path?
Pretty much completely different. With Gatlinburg, so I've only ever been to Gatlinburg one time before we purchased the house out there.
And it wasn't fun.
Yeah, we didn't enjoy it. It was, I don't know how many years ago it was. We just didn't enjoy it.
We just didn't do the right things for us at the time. Now we love it because we found like our favorite places in Gatlinburg and Seviereville.
Okay. Yeah.
But we just hit the wrong places.
But so the way the short-term rental thing started was we were building a couple houses in East Nashville, and across the street was a couple who were now friends of ours and partners Mike and Jill, they lived across the street and started talking to me that they, at the time, I think they owned two properties, short-term rental properties in Nashville, and they were pursuing their third, or maybe just closed on their third one, which was their first one in Gatlinburg. And we kind of just talked about it. I felt like in passing it was, like, hey, maybe we should, consider partnering on something someday. And I thought maybe it would be, they would fund a flip or something like that, and then the more we talked about it, we just kind of thought it'd be pretty neat to, we saw the success they were having with their short-term rentals already, so we decided to jump on this one out in Gatlinburg. And it's a super unique property. It doesn't look like any other cabin out there. It's round, not square. And then it had this dome, this mother-in-law suite that was detached, that was a yurt.
Nice.
And we had to deal with things with the city, like reconnect those two houses, because the one structure was illegal because it was only zoned to be a single family.
Sure.
Well, back in the 80s, no one monitored that stuff in the mountains of Gatlinburg, you know what I mean? And then we just had to do a renovation to it, and
Nice.
it has a awesome rooftop deck, and we converted a garage to a theater, and the old man's wood shop into a sauna, and it
That sounds
turned
so
out to be
fun.
a really cool property. Yeah.
Is that near Dollywood? That's up there, right?
It's real close. It's about 8 miles.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Question about, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but what does the permit situation look like for a short-term rental in Nashville? I've heard mixed stories about it, so what's your experience been like?
So with owner occupied, it's pretty cut and dry, I believe. I haven't tried it in a while, but when we got ours, I don't think they set a limit on owner occupied. They set limits on non-owner occupied. I manage a couple apartments for my parents over off West End Avenue, and they were getting ready to do away with that zoning for non-owner occupied permits. So when they bought these 2 units, we had to hustle and get it through the system to be able to get our permit. And then the end of 21, that zoning went away. So I know they're really cracking down. I don't know how much I honestly have any desire to own short-term rental in Nashville,
Sure.
or any metro city or metro area for that matter, just because all those things can change at like a council meeting.
That's
You know
scary,
what I
yeah.
mean? So that's why I love the Smokey Mountains, because that whole part of Tennessee was built on overnight rentals.
Yeah.
If they do away with that, there's been generations of wealth built off that it'd be really hard to do away with
Yeah. something
like that.
Well, I think with a lot of those short-term, maybe I'm getting on a rabbit trail here, but a lot of those short-term rentals, you almost have to think like, okay, if the laws change, is there another purpose for this place? So would it sustain as like a long-term rental?
Yeah.
So if that to me is a better investment. Like if you find one that has 2 hat tricks
Yeah.
instead of just one, if you need to, then you're not up the creek.
Just making sure you have multiple exit strategies for each
Yeah.
property just in case
Right.
things
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. Especially, I think the first week that I moved to Nashville, actually a couple years ago, we bought our house, and then maybe a week later they upped the property tax like 35% or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck?
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a different turn here, but what are maybe some resources if somebody's looking to get into the short-term rental game? Are there any websites, or how did you kind of learn the trade? Is it something that came naturally to you guys, or
No, not natural.
okay?
I think Air DNA is a good site.
Air
to-
DNA?
Yeah, Air DNA is a good site to kind of like see what's around the area that you're looking at and kind of compare prices, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Air DNA tracks like all of Airbnb and VRBO's, nightly rental rates, the occupancy rate, all that stuff. That's a huge tool to help determine whether or not a property makes sense, that makes a good deal or whatever.
And do you find it's pretty accurate?
It hasn't been wrong so far.
Nice.
So,
Awesome.
and our partner, Mike and Jill, Mike sells a course. He developed a course for short-term rental and like educating people on that. And so he uses it a ton with his students, with his clients. I mean, that's what he uses that all the time. We've used it, 3 times.
Nice.
You know, I mean, we're analyzing properties all the time, but 3 times that we've had Airbnbs.
We pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Awesome. AirDNA.com. Cool.
.co. Not
.co?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just co.
Okay, cool. Well, what are some things that you would suggest for somebody who's thinking about getting into it? You know, you mentioned a course. Is there a specific kind of school that you went to, or like where did you learn the information?
I mean, where did we learn it? It just experience with Mike and Jill. I guess you could say like partnering with them was what we brought to the table was more of the remodel side. I don't think they've ever been through as extensive of a remodel as what we did on that first property with them, and we've never done what they did. So I think we learned from each other. So watching how Mike analyzed properties and just talking with him about the different metrics that he looks for and stuff like that. I would say that's how we learned the business side and the analyzing side of it. The other side, like the hosting side, is pretty natural. Like I said, Amy loves doing that stuff. She gets a lot of joy out of that. So the hosting side of it, that was pretty natural. And then, as far as like renovating, decorating, all that stuff was fine too. For us, it's pretty easy. But like, and then having just knowing the area, and knowing the attractions, like the last one, we just launched our most recent one in the beginning of November, and that's not far at all from Dollywood, and it's real close. It's like central to Pigeon Forge, Seviereville, and Gatlinburg. So, it's location just like anything else.
Nice. So on the hosting side, what are some of the things that you focus on when you're sprucing up the place? What do you...
Well, number one is having a cleaning team that you communicate well with and that you can trust. If you don't have a good cleaning team, it changes the whole vibe. So, and I wanted to make sure that it was, some people like to clean their own Airbnbs. I wanted to outsource that and make sure that, okay, I have other things I can focus on, other properties, and just like the back end part, and give work to somebody else who needs work, right? So we found this really awesome cleaning team. We had another crew earlier with the one in our basement, and we found a husband and wife team, and they're just so wonderful, so trustworthy, great with last minutes, and for every 5-star cleaning review that we get, we give them a boost. So I think you just got to be good to them in return. You know what I mean? Like it's your business. They're essentially silent partners, and you got to give them the credit for it. But other than that, making sure like there's kind of like Airbnb has their checklist. Of course, there's other platforms like VRBO, which they're more focused on the entire place. So if it's like it's partial space in the house that you're living in, VRBO is not quite maybe the route you want to take. You want to do something more with Airbnb. And then there's booking.com, which we've not really spent time with that. We've kind of had 74% occupancy with Airbnb alone.
Nice.
So at least with the basement property, and then the other one's just still kind of new, so we're just letting it grow a little bit more. But I mean, it's been good for this past month. We've had at least about a 74% occupancy this month with our new one, just with Airbnb.
That's great.
So we just have to, fill that extra 25% in. Hopefully, VRBO will help us with that.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So is the goal 100% occupancy?
I mean, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, as long as you're like, you have your costs that you're getting covered, and your cleaning team finding out how they accommodate, because some cleaning teams do not want that quick flip, depending on who you get. Sometimes their client list is so long, and they're like, well, we need 1 day. Ours is great. They're good with quick flips.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll just...
Yeah. Going back to the cleaners, like that's such an integral part to what you do as in the short-term rental space, because I mean, if you get poor cleaning reviews, of all things, like location, people can deal with it. If they have to drive a little extra, it's whatever. But like, no one wants to stay in something that's getting 3-star cleaning reviews or whatever,
No chance.
That's bad.
But with the hosting part, though, you want to make sure that the space is set up for everything that you would want. So again, you're putting yourself in the customer, like you want to be able to walk through that door. You want it to smell good. You want your ironing board. You want your soft, clean towels. You want a bed that's just pristine. You want to make sure that there's maybe some water bottles tucked in the fridge ready, just in case you don't have time to go to the grocery store right away. Maybe you want to go a little bit more luxury and have essential oils spread out for them.
Nice.
It's just like different things. Like you want the green plants, maybe you want fake, maybe you want real. Can your cleaning staff take care of those?
And do you do the decorating for each of the
I do.
spots?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It was a big undertaking for the cottage renova that we did in Seviereville. I mean, it's a 3-bedroom. It sleeps 12. And there's like queen bunks in the one room and 2 king suites and a game room, and we had to order the hot tub and assembling more furniture than I would ever care to ever assemble in my life. It's like you think about IKEA on steroids, and that was our time. It's like I was putting things together backwards and realizing that as we were going that it wasn't working.
It's true.
Yeah.
That was gonna be one of my questions actually. Are there any hidden costs that people maybe if I'm thinking about getting into Airbnb and short-term rentals, what are some hidden costs that people maybe don't think of?
I mean, hidden. I'm not sure. We try to budget. We try to budget $5,000 per bedroom. So if you're in a 4-bedroom,
like decorating it,
yeah,
like
and that kind of covers. That doesn't mean you're spending $5,000 just for the room. That means like, okay, the fluff. If this bedroom only took $2,000, well, the extra $3,000 is for whatever painting, artwork and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Sure. But like, it just is a rule of thumb. I don't even know how far we went over budget on Cottage Renova. Yeah. It was a lot.
It was a lot, and a lot of it was.
But that was the first one that we've done. So the previous one in Gatlinburg was done with Mike and Jill, and they had experience. So we kind of just followed their lead. When it came to like the decor. It was kind of cool that we all kind of meshed on the vision of the decor that we want. It wasn't like, well, I want Southwestern look or I want completely modern look. It wasn't like that. We all kind of just blended on like, yes, this is what we see for this house. So that was great. But the newest one was all on Amy to get the vision, which was she nailed it with that. But then the cost, that was where the big learning curve was for us. You know, I mean, and again, now that it's we just launched it in November. We're in the beginning of December right now when this is being recorded, and so now that we're back and things are settling down, I do want to analyze and see where we went over, what were those hidden costs, because I don't know. Like we knew we had to buy. Well, the hot tub was more expensive than we thought.
Well, there's a big demand.
But there's a big
demand.
Right now. Yeah, there's a shortage of them. Of
Literally,
course.
like the only thing that I check when I go on Airbnb is
hot tub.
Yeah, it's like if we're going to do this, we're getting a hot tub.
Exactly.
And in cabins, especially in that, it seems like especially in that part of the country, you have to have. If you don't have a hot tub, man, you're fighting an uphill battle.
Because everybody does, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
So market-wise, you mentioned not wanting to work in metro areas. Totally understand that. Are you focused specifically in Smokey Mountains, or are you guys looking to expand other places, or what does that look like?
So, and when I say I don't want to be in metro areas. If the metro area was built on short-term rentals, like overnight rentals, I'm okay with that. Like parts of Florida, like beach towns. Obviously, overnight rentals is a huge driver of their local economy. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to do anything to disrupt that, I don't think. I just don't know if I'm not setting out to find something in Nashville, outside of what's underneath my house, the apartment we have now. So I would, if it's like, Destin, Panama City, Fort Lauderdale, something like that, like beach towns, I would definitely consider that as far as metro areas go. Again, because I don't think that they're gonna fool with it.
Just because Nashville's a little flaky right now.
Yeah, and when's the next city? I mean, there's obviously data saying that Nashville is going to be growing for a long time, and that's fine. And some people obviously are comfortable with investing in short-term rentals in Nashville, and they're making a lot of money doing it, and that's great. But for me, I want to go in the areas where it's tried and true for decades.
Yeah, touristy.
Yeah, when the economy drops, they still had visitors. When the pandemic hit, there was an uptick in Smokey Mountains. It's the most visited national park in the country.
Awesome.
So
no, I want to go there. I got to check out your place.
Yeah.
Awesome. So on the cash flow side, without getting into too much personal detail, like what do you guys look for to profit? What are you, when you're analyzing a deal, looking for a new short-term rental? What are you looking for?
So things have changed now with your interest rate increases, but like our minimum was like when we were analyzing properties, during 2022, in 2021, 2020, around there, we were wanting to hit like 35%, 30%. Now that's come down a little bit because you got to make room for the increased mortgage, so now it's like if I can get 25%, cash on cash, that'd be great, maybe depending on the property itself, maybe squish that down to 20%, depending. I don't know. I haven't gone that far yet, but the first property that we bought out there in Gatlinburg, that one in the first calendar year, I think it was the first calendar year, it did 54%. So,
Cash on cash?
Yeah.
That's great.
So, I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And it's not passive. It's an active income. I mean, it's not as active as like punching a clock and going to work.
Sure.
But it's not as passive as like, hey, you get a tenant in for a year and then hopefully you don't have to worry about it until the lease expires or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so that's where.
And do you work with like a DSCR loans, or are you working with hard money, or?
So we just did the first cabin out there. We did a conventional loan on that one. We did the renovation, and I don't care to talk about numbers or not. We can talk about them. We paid right under $500,000 for that house, and we did a renovation. It took us 10 weeks, I think. Yeah, it was like 10 weeks of renovating.
Felt like it was more than that.
Yeah, but we worked 10 weeks on it, and I think ourselves and our partners each had to put 110 into it, out of pocket, and we added that. We converted the garage into a theater room, and then reattached that. There's a dome, the mother-in-law suite's like a yurt. We reattached that to the house, and did some other things to it, and then we did a cash out refinance, and that was a DSCR loan, which was great, and that reappraised at like 1.1.
Nice.
In just a year, basically.
And you guys were for about $750 at that point, sounds like?
720, I think it was.
Nice.
So it worked out. We were able to get our money back out that we had to put down on it, and then some, and extra that we could then take and reinvest.
Awesome. So for the future plans, you mentioned you build. So are you guys looking to actually just build straight up short-term rental units now, or are you kind of going about it without a commitment and just kind of looking for multiple exit strategies and building without a necessarily intention?
I think when it comes to short-term rental stuff, we missed a property a few months ago in Asheville, North Carolina. And it was this beautiful.
Talk about regret.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thankful because you never know what, like, we only, who knows, maybe we were being saved some headache.
I had tears.
Yeah. This house was beautiful. We just had an agent that didn't, I didn't know that area well enough, and I was trusting him, and, ultimately it was my fault. I agreed to what he suggested, and then in hindsight, I was like, man, we should have just went to, this dollar amount and just.
You guys came in too low?
Yes, we did.
Gotcha.
And in hindsight, because the reason that we should have just threw all the money at it, honestly, because it was this beautiful house that was just tucked in the foothills of the mountain, had an in-ground pool, had a detached 3-car garage that we could have turned into like a game room, and for everyone. But it was with 15 acres. We could have subdivided it and built another cabin, and then in the remaining areas put up these geodomes, and I wasn't aggressive enough.
Sure.
But in hindsight, who knows? Maybe I would have got in over my head and lost it all. I don't know.
Who knows about the permits of a geodome? I don't. So.
Well, they're out there. It's a pretty common thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the realtor, he's worked with them many times before, and he's like, that's not going to be a problem. And
nice.
But
Next time.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
time.
So now you get to look at it on Airbnb and probably see its occupancy.
Yeah.
I don't want to see
We'll
it.
pay, we'll pay to go stay in it now.
Just be like,
It's fun. So Amy, what are some of the strengths that Ben brings to the Airbnb game?
let's see. There's a lot of strengths. I would say he's really good with running the numbers and not getting emotionally attached to it as much as I am. You know, I see it again. I'm one of those visionaries. I see it. I want to be there. I want to like make it. You know, but he's like, you know, the numbers have to work. So he's very like numbers oriented, which is a really good thing. And he's really good at finding out what the rules are per area. So, you know, if Airbnb operates differently in Gatlinburg versus Seviereville, you know, it's just like all those little nuances of rules.
Nice.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between Gatlinburg
Yeah.
and Sevier County. If you're in the city, completely different ballgame. If you're in the county, it's like the Wild West.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
and just learning that is now makes me not want to buy one in Gatlinburg city limits. You know, I mean, I will if it makes sense, I guess, but it's just so much easier to do it in the county.
A couple less hoops.
Yeah. What would you say are some of Amy's strengths that she brings to the Airbnb game?
Oh man, her passion to just want people to have a good time.
Nice.
You know, it's she want like I think it's just wanting people to create memories. You know, she's great at designing. You know, picking out all the furniture and just bringing it all together. And me sitting over there going like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And then when it's all
Which is
done,
most of the time.
yeah, and then when it's done, it's like, okay, now I see what she saw. I just don't see into the future like that, you know. But no, her care to help create family memories, you know, and even like this one that we just launched. It's called Cottage Renova in Seviereville. The first 10 or 15, I forget how many you bought. She bought this bread pan, this cool bread pan, and bought this cool bread mix. And like our cleaners are instructed to set that out with every flip, just so that when the new guest walks in, hey, you know,
Want to make some
we
bread?
can make some bread, and because that's kind of her thing for that house is she wants people to break bread,
That's cool.
you know. So
It's one of those things,
Stuff like
especially when you're in a new area, like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. It's nice to have the host kind of give you, not the whole itinerary, but just one thing, like, hey, why don't you start up and making some bread?
yeah,
You know? It's cool.
exactly, yeah. So stuff like that I don't think about. You know, I'd just be like, all right, how many bookings do we have? You know, like, let's get this thing going.
Awesome. So if somebody's looking to get into short-term rentals, how many do you think they would need to have to sort of make it their living? Can you do that can you cash flow enough from one space in your home, or?
I don't know about one space in your home, but I know if you get the right one, and again, your living has to be, you know, within reason. You can't, you know, you're not going to live some baller lifestyle but you can do it on the right one, I believe.
Or you can do it on
'Cause
the
we were-
wrong 20.
No,
Okay.
right. And that's why, like, could we have more, you know, could we own more properties, more Airbnbs? Sure. But, like, I've tried to adopt over the years, this, like, aggressive patience, you know? Like, I'm totally cool sitting here and being patient, but when it's time, I'm going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, aggressive
Like,
patience
yeah.
is a great term.
So that's really, and yeah, because if you get the wrong 20, your life's going to be a mess. You know what I mean?
Or,
So, and
just,
it's
just slower. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I don't like chaos, so 20 bad investments sounds horrible.
Yeah, even if they're making just a little bit of money still, it's not worth it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I would rather, like, and again, going back to our partners, Mike, and when I say one, it's because that's what I learned from him. He has some people that have hit their financial freedom mark with just the right one property.
Wow.
You know, but again, you got to be patient. You got to be diligent. Always looking.
So ideally, between a long-term rental and a short-term rental, cash flow-wise, short-term rental is just leaps and bounds ahead.
It is, but I think it's riskier though too, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's more aggressive for sure.
Oh, when the world shut down, when COVID first started, it was a little nervous. You know, it was a little nervous feeling because we had to actually shift gears with our short-term rental and rent it out for a longer span to one person.
Yeah, the one here in Nashville.
So we just had to pivot, you know, and I think if if you're in a place where you can do that with one property, again, it goes back to having that be like a two-party hat kind of place. Like if it can pivot in good and bad times, I think you're setting yourself up for a little bit more success.
Gotcha. So obviously every case is different, but do you have any overall kind of like safety concerns or anything you've run into with Airbnb being in your home?
Yes. No, we had one. Okay, so generally, like we've had, I don't know,
we've had amazing guests.
We've had like 200 and some guests or something like that in our little Airbnb under our house, right? Okay. And they know it's like we hardly ever see these people. It's like a separate entrance,
separate driveway,
no shared space, right, at all. But it's still under the same roof, and it's very strict, no smoking. Most guests are great. So once in a while, you get that one guest who does not follow any rules and decides to smoke in your house and maybe passes out and has like cigarette burns all over carpets and stuff. So, is it a safety concern? Sometimes, yes. But I think we've been very blessed to not have that very often. We've only had 2, kind of like
one that was
moments.
one guy that was like with the cigarette burn and stuff. That could have been a safety thing. The other one was just weird.
Yeah, one weird. We don't need to go into it, but it was just like, you'd walk in afterwards, you're like, cult, maybe? But other than that, it's like, that's what insurance is for, and, you have to be able to shut the thing down if you're saying, okay, this is not a party house, and all of a sudden there's more people here, bye, done, So,
and that's a cool thing, like with the one in our basement, we only allow 2 people, maybe 3, if they ask us ahead of time, like, hey, my husband and I are moving my daughter across the country. Can she sleep on the couch? Yes, of course, But, we just limit it because, we just don't want that,
And you don't need to nickel and dime everybody. It's just like, you have to give, it's that thing of like, how would you want to be treated? That's how you want to treat other people. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What kind of ongoing costs can a new host expect, aside from cleaners?
You're going to have to swap out your towels and your sheets every once in a while, like more than just the extra and the spares that you have. You're going to have them be ruined at some point. So, having at least 3 comforters always in rotation for every bed. You're going to replace glasses when they accidentally break. Just normal houseware stuff,
I mean, the typical, like, in our basement, we supply toilet paper, and I think we have shampoo, like a big bottle of shampoo and conditioner.
Everything you need in your shower, like your.
That's more like
shampoo.
It's more like a hotel setting
right.
in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then when as far as the cabins go, I honestly don't know about the one that we're partners on because we don't handle the day-to-day stuff. That's the nice thing. Mike and Joe handle that. But with the one that we just launched, we provide 1 roll of toilet paper per bathroom. And I think that's it.
No, that's not it.
Well, I mean, towels and stuff like that, linens and towels. But I mean, as far as like recurring, because like
toiletries, we do like travel sizes. I have those going.
Oh, do we?
Yep, and I have. There's like a starter pack, pretty much a starter pack for every house. So they have like their starter laundry, like 2-pack. Their starter dish.
That's a nice touch.
Thank you. And so I order those and I send them to our cleaners, and then they keep it stocked.
Okay.
So that's ongoing, and then you're going to have like your normal like pest treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to make sure those bed bugs. I know it's gross, but make sure that you have those covers on all of your mattresses and your pillows.
Yeah.
And that you have someone who's, a good rated pest control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I learned, I never owned a hot tub before, but they, by Tennessee law, I'm glad they do because it would be gross if they didn't. But by Tennessee law, they have to swap out the water and clean the hot tub each flip.
Sanitized every time.
Yeah.
Every time?
So that's an unexpected cost because, our hot tub holds 200 gallons of water.
Wow, yeah.
So if you have 4 flips, that's 800 gallons of water.
How much time does that take, too?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know.
time consuming, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, they get the place clean.
I'm sure they do it in an hour.
After every guest?
Yep.
Every guest,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I mean,
that's good.
I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a consumer, I'm really glad. As a person who would.
It's just something I never thought of.
Yeah.
I thought, you just put it in there and you just add chemicals and that'll sanitize it or something. But
so is that something that you have a specific company that does for you, or is
the
it
cleaners do?
Cleaners take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Our cleaners are awesome. They take care of everything. he told us.
They even decorate for Christmas
Yeah,
if
they'll
you
decorate
want.
for Christmas if you want. These are not our stories, but some horror stories that he's been a part of. Is an owner from out of state owns this cabin, and it caught on fire, and he's the guy that get called. Like, hey, you're the contact person, and he's standing in the driveway on the phone with someone in Michigan, going, "Yeah, man, it's up in flames." So. But they're great. He's like, you don't ever have to come back out here if you don't want to. We'll take care of it all.
Awesome.
So they're not managing per se because Amy handles that. But if there's little, propane tanks need to be swapped, whatever.
So it sounds like cleaning partners are actually way more elevated than just a cleaning partner. It's almost like a business partner.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. So you have the Airbnb up in the Smokey Mountains. How often do you actually use it for yourself, if ever?
Not yet.
The first one we haven't gone to at all. It just stays busy.
Nice.
And then the newest one, we plan, January and February are the slow months. So we plan to go out January and February one time at least, maybe March once.
Yeah.
I don't know, we love it out there as a getaway. And we're getting to know like the local, some of the local, servers and stuff like that at our favorite restaurants and stuff.
We already get local discounts there.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So I guess when you go there, would you want to stay in your own Airbnb, or would you
Yes.
want to stay? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This one I
Don't want to
this one
scope
I
the
do.
competition, or you don't.
No.
No.
Cool.
I just and we really have grown to love the neighbors of the house up there because we bought the house that we bought. It's this long shared driveway that snakes up the hill, and everybody up there except us and then one other lady lives down towards the bottom. They're all family. So we bought someone who was part of their family who was like moving to the beach or something like that. He retired and moved to the beach.
So for our guests, we were like, we make sure they know you're in local territory.
Yeah.
Like these neighbors, like they have private lives. Let them
Yeah.
have their privacy.
Have fun, but don't act like a fool.
Yeah.
Well, we don't say that, but yeah.
I mean,
Any parting words or advice for people who are looking to get into it? What would you say is the first step?
man, first step to get into short-term rental is just educate yourself on that airdna.co. There's a free version on there. You can pay for subscriptions that are kind of expensive because you got to pay for each region. But get in there and look around for free, compare it to Airbnb's website, and see what things are priced at. And then get linked up with, once you educate yourself a little bit as to what you might want, of course you can spend time on Redfin or Zillow, those websites, but then get with an agent who works with, or even more specifically owns. The two agents that we worked with on the properties in Gatlinburg both own short-term rentals out there.
Nice.
Own more than we do. So, I think that's important because then they know, they know what they know what to look for. They know what good numbers are. That would be the first thing for me.
I would say YouTube has become a friend. I watch all the videos by everyone that has a short-term rental, like just kind of soak in that information and know that I know there's a myth about this being like passive income. It's active. It's like you are going to be on call 24/7. If someone reaches out to you, you have to be responsive. So it's not something where you can just kind of set it and forget it. That's what I would suggest is that, if you can expect to be available
Nice.
for short-term rentals,
Yeah.
that's that world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
tuning into Real 615. Thanks to our sponsors, Sky Realty and Mission of Truth, and Ben and Amy.
Thanks for having us. This was great.